Yo, yo, yo. Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me? We should be live. This time, hopefully from the first time. So if you can hear me, write something in the chat if the volume is okay, and if you can see the Bitcoin chart. All good, perfect. All right, we're back at the charts. So we're gonna do the usual stream, give my thoughts on Bitcoin, see where we're at. A lot has happened since last week. The monthly close is coming up, so we've got a lot to talk about, right? About what we were watching on the monthly, especially the monthly played out beautifully, and we are about to get a very interesting close, in my opinion a good close, but I'll go in depth and explain why I think that. And as always, what we like to do is use those higher time frames to make our plans on the lower time frames, and that's when you get those high probability trades. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Just 1 second. All right. Cool. Now that we're live, let's get started. So as I said, starting on the higher time frame, so let's remove or at least hide some of these levels. What was this? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we'll just hide everything for now, right? And head over to the monthly to start off. So on the monthly, right, ever since we opened this monthly candle, and yeah, ever since we've been trading after this close in August, what were we watching? Monthly liquidity to the downside. Okay, so down here and mostly down below these two monthly candles. Of course, in August we didn't have this one yet, but then in September we made an equal low there on the monthly, which meant even more liquidity resting to the downside, and so that was the area that we were targeting. Monthly liquidity to the upside above here had been taken, right? We wicked above there, rejected heavily, and closed this monthly candle, in my opinion at least, fairly bearish. Ever since we closed this monthly candle, what did we say? Not only can we use let's call it a weekly range or a daily range from let me mark it out like this, that should be a little easier, from these highs up here to these lows down here, right? So that's one weekly range. But if you grab it on the higher time frame and you grab the bigger range, right, you can take this as the highs and these as the lows, right? So basically a lower time frame range within the super high time frame range, the monthly right here. And those were basically the ranges that we were watching. Ever since we got this close right here, like I said, we were watching that liquidity lower down. And what did we say? Well, the plan is pretty obvious. If we sweep that liquidity to the downside and we get a solid buyback, right? At that point, you have swept monthly liquidity to the upside right there, monthly liquidity to the downside. You're back within the range. At that point, right, as we are in a monthly uptrend with higher lows and higher highs, we should assume that we're gonna see trend continuation, which would be a break to new all-time highs. What would confirm that? Well, if we break, of course, back above those range high levels, but on the lower time frames we have some levels in between, of course, focus on that. But on the monthly time frame, right, what we didn't want to see was a monthly close below these lows right here, as that would mean a break below this lower time frame range and a break back inside this bigger higher time frame monthly range, right? And then this could have been seen as a deviation or a sweep above these highs, which would then lead to the draw, the monthly draw on liquidity being to the lows down here. So that was the plan, right? We haven't closed, so ever since then, right, since we were targeting that monthly liquidity down there, we took the liquidity, which was amazing, which was exactly what we needed. I've been talking about it a lot. I said I thought it would only be a good thing to grab liquidity below those lows, as then the chart would look a lot healthier compared to however it looked before we swept those lows, and at that point would have higher probability of actually breaking towards new highs and having the strength to actually run a lot further and not get like an ugly sweep as we got right here. Okay, so straight away, if people ask me where do you flip bearish, well, if we get a monthly close below these levels right here, then I'll flip bearish, or at least be cautious, right, for a move all the way back down towards monthly liquidity down here at 76k. Until then, right, what are the levels that I'm watching for support? Well, obviously these lows down here that got swept confluence with the highs from right here, and as you can see right now, we are trading above those levels. So as long as we trade above those levels, in my opinion, we are trading above support, and the next logical direction for Bitcoin is higher to the upsides. Right, so that's just the higher time frame analysis that I'm still watching, that I have been watching for weeks now, but I hope that makes sense to everyone. You all can still see the chart, right? Because I saw a black screen on the YouTube preview. Yeah, it should be good. Right, so does that make sense to everyone? So that's just using some basic monthly levels, right? And using those to sort of get an idea of where we're trading, where you want to flip bearish. If you get this, then you target that. As long as we're above this, we should be good for higher, okay? So that's just to use those higher time frame thoughts and then move over to the lower time frames, at least to the weekly and then the daily and the 4 hour, and make our plans there purely for trades. So what did we have on the weekly? Well, exactly the same. We swept kilos, right? Closed up here. I was bullish. We dumped in here, right? Okay, it was a little scary as it was looking very weak, but as you can see, where did we bounce again? Right at these levels. So for me, it's really easy here. here to say, well, if we close the monthly or a weekly would be bad as well below these levels, then it's time to be cautious. But until then, what I'm seeing here is just a range where the highs have been swept, where now the lows have been swept, and we're simply chopping. All right. When do we get high time frame bullish? Well, you can obviously, as always, right, mark out some levels, just a general area, and the last key resistance before new all-time highs will be up here, right? OTE from the high to the low will line up with that area as well. That's the area, basically the last resistance we need to break above in order for us to see new all-time highs. So high time frame, if we see strength above this area or in this area, right, if we do something like this and we keep grinding higher, there's a higher chance that it actually breaks out and moves to new all-time highs. Until then, we stay cautious, but we are cautiously bullish, but still realize that we're simply trading in a range in between 125k and 105k, basically. So that are just some levels on the higher time frames, once again, that we can use on the lower time frames for our trades. But basically, since we are still trading above these two monthly levels, I am still bullish. I have been bullish ever since we swept that monthly liquidity, and I do think we will be trading higher. Okay, what I don't get is people who were very bullish ever since we were trading like in this around this price action, maybe even here, we're bullish here, but now we got this move and now suddenly they flip bearish. I don't get it, because if you were bullish on Q4, right, this move is exactly what you wanted to see, in my opinion. And I said it before, the best thing, right, when October opened, we saw upside straight from the open, and I didn't like it. I was like, yeah, I don't think Q4 is gonna open. We're straight up gonna move to new highs, and we're not gonna have the strength to straight up pump and continue pumping to new all-time highs. And that's usually when you get this fuckery and a move like this. And in my opinion, this move wiped out so many people and was exactly the liquidity grab that we needed in order for us to have the strength to move to new all-time highs. As I said, I have my validation. I'm not gonna be like other people who think their predictions on Twitter are more important than the actual trading. If we break below here, I will accept that I'm wrong, right? I will take the loss on my longs and move on, right? But until then, I am bullish, and I don't see a reason to be super bearish here on the higher time frames, at least. All right, so with that being said, let's move over to some lower time frame levels. So from last week, yeah, so from the liquidation move, that aggressive wick to the downside that we got, what were the key levels to be watching? Well, obviously, if we zoom into the 4 hour, right, wicked, then so this wick, I'm gonna ignore that. And why? Because on some exchanges it went lower, on some it held up higher. So we're gonna ignore this wick and look at the price action that happened right after the wick, and then you're gonna see this low, and in my opinion, that low, sorry, is gonna be more important. So mark that out, mark this out, and you can immediately see the target for the lower time frame target for a retest and for upside was gonna be this high, and that's the high that I've been marking out and that I've been talking about on Twitter as well. Ever since we traded from down here, if we reclaim some lower time frame key levels, that's gonna be the target. That got hit, retest right there, got sold into, and now we're seeing some rejections. So first up, the cleanest plan in my opinion would be if we manage to reclaim this on some 4 hour, at least ideally a higher time frame, a daily close, a 12-hour close. But first step on the 4 hour would be a very bullish sign, and at that point likely the next target would become up here, the sideways price action that led to the massacre. If we break, then like I said, that's gonna be the high time frame last key resistance before we move to new all-time highs. If we manage to reclaim that, or to at least see some bullish price action within this area, then I think all-time highs are next. But like I said, step by step, reclaim this next, above here, new all-time highs. As long as we're below this level, right, I'm not necessarily bearish because of the reasons that I just gave, right? High time frame liquidity to the downside swept, so I think upside is next. But we are obviously sort of trapped between the lows, the high time frame lows, and the level that I just talked about. So I could see this, right? I could see even lower, something like this. If we get a move like this later today, maybe FOMC, who knows, we wick down quite heavily. You're gonna get all those people, the bearish people calling for much lower again, right? But that doesn't invalidate any of the things that I just said and nothing of the bullishness. What does invalidate it is a break below this on the higher time frame. I could even see a wick below there and then still reclaim that ultimately leads to higher. What I don't want to see is high time frame closes below here. Okay, then I think it's like really a reason to stay cautious, and we might see a lot more downside. But until then, I think that dips are for buying. Okay. So as I said, FOMC later today, what can we expect, right? As many of you know, I don't really like trading the news, and I'm not gonna tell you I'm expecting upside from FOMC or I'm expecting downside. What I am expecting is volatility, right? At least on the lower time frames. What you very often get during FOMC is like these wicks to the downside, wicks to the upside, right? Just to trade back to the prices where we were trading before FOMC. So short term, I'm not even sure we're gonna get a big move. I just could see upsides and then heavy rejection, downside heavy rejection, or the other way around, downside heavy rejection, upside heavy rejection. Then after FOMC, just be at the same price, right? Let some people FOMO in, I don't know, and then make the real move to the upside or maybe to the downside. But my bet is that it will be to the upside. So what my game plan is, I am currently in some longs, both on Ethereum. I'm in Ethereum longs, I'm in Hype longs, and I'm in some Bitcoin longs. Bitcoin both on my breakout account, but I entered some additional longs today as well. Where am I wrong on this ID is the question, right? Well, high time frame wise, like I said, you've got a pretty damn clean invalidation below these high time frame lows. Now, of course, if you enter here and you put your stop all the way back down there, well, it's even, as you can see, even towards these range highs here, it's already over 1 hour. So I would take a setup like this, but personally, I kept my stops a little bit closer, like right there. What am I looking for? Well, basically a squeeze to the upside. Do I think that's gonna happen today during FOMC? As I said, I don't know. What I do expect during FOMC is wicks up and down, and after that we should be good for a directional move, and in my opinion it will be to the upside. I feel like way too many people are like too convinced that the next move is gonna be down, and for me, like I said, high time frame, we're still above these high time frame support levels, and until we break below them, I think at least like we have some room to fill towards the upside. Not targeting straight up all-time highs, but I do think that there's gonna be a lot of liquidity resting towards 120k. So as I said, that area up here, the supply area, the OTE area, right above these highs right there, I think can be a nice area to target. And then I would, from there, would make more sense to do this and then reject heavily and then maybe move back down. But once again, if we do see this move, right, towards the highs, towards 120, we break back down. Of course, it's possible that we go all the way back down towards here, but guess what? That would still be support. Everyone will be FOMOing into shorts here. Everyone will be calling for new lows, and guess what? I will be looking for longs again. Long support until it doesn't work anymore, right? That's basically the easiest way I can explain. So does that make sense to everyone? Any questions on Bitcoin? So yeah, even lower time frame. I had marked out the Monday range we had from last week. I think it's here. Yeah. So this isn't Monday high and Monday low, but it's last week's Monday high and last week's Monday low. Let's take a look where. Yeah, so this week's Monday range is, yeah, I'm not gonna call it useless, but less clean than last week, Monday high. But hey, if you want to mark it out, happy days. Monday high is unswept, you know. No, but clean picture you get here, right? What did we say? I tweeted something beautiful. What was it? Was a reply. I retweeted it this morning, but I said, so before, when was it? October 25th. Yeah, so here we said Bitcoin slowly pumps. So my guess, Bitcoin slowly pumps to 116k, rejects hard to 112, and that's where you go all in. Was a reply, but it's playing out beautifully. And you know, I had a reason to tweet that, right? Why 116k? 116k were these highs. So I knew that will be a tough resistance to straight up break if we sweep them and reject. So we got to 116k, heavy rejection, which is currently happening, to 112. Why 112k? Because that's last week's Monday high, around there at least. So in my opinion, this is support. We could wick below here, right? We have some ugly lows, some ugly flat candles there. So I could see us wick below there, of course. But then in my opinion, if we start bouncing and grinding up again, start reclaiming this week's Monday low, yeah, then I think Monday high will be next. And I don't think if we get to Monday high, if, as you can see, this was a sweep of this high that got rejected. So I don't think we're gonna go up there to sweep Monday high and reject again. No, I think if we revisit this area and reclaim Monday high, or go for Monday high, a sweep Monday high, that it will be an actual breakout that leads to higher. And as I said, into 120k from there. So right here, lower time frames, these are just some levels you can use, right? But I'm long, willing to add to my longs on dips. Invalidation is clear for me, which is, yeah, you could use it below here, to be honest. Last week's Monday low, yeah, I think, yeah, if we fall all the way back down there, could still be a sweep and a reclaim, but then you still have the chance to re-enter. But that should, in my opinion, hold on any wicks to the downside. So then you have something like this, right? And even if you target this range high here, you're looking at 2R. Let's see, 120 area is 1.4R. If let's say you enter half here and half more on the dip, you're gonna have a great entry, and that's a high probability trade in my opinion. So yeah, is that clear? Let's see what the chat says. Bitcoin has tested 108 several times now. I don't know if we can trust it again. Thoughts? let's see, man. You're right. It could be that the support is getting weaker. But in my opinion, like you're saying, it has been tested this many times. If you look at it on the higher time frame, all I'm seeing is this was your sweep of liquidity on the higher time frames, right? This was your retest, your high time frame retest, and from there we've just been moving higher, right? Low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Well, in my opinion, we put in a higher low here and move to new highs. So how many times has this support been tested? Well, this was a high time frame sweep, this was the retest. That's what I'm thinking, at least. So that's another reason why I could have your revalidation below here, because this was the low, higher high, higher low, which should hold if we want to make a higher low in this area. I have a question. What's your opinion about 4-year cycles? For me, it does not make sense anymore. If we came this far that Bitcoin is used and recognized by institutions, there is no valid point for it. Yeah, well, I also don't believe in the 4-year cycles. I think, yeah, a lot has changed. You can go watch back the stream of me and Jack. That's where we had a conversation about it, and Jack gives some very interesting points about it as well. That the 4-year cycles were never a thing. Honestly, Bitcoin was just following the liquidity. So make sure you check that out, because it's very interesting indeed. But yeah, short answer, no. I also don't believe it in the 4-year cycles. And I also think I've been saying it for months, right? That I thought we were still going to see a bullish Q4. But as we came into the Q4, right, the first month, October, and we straight up pumped, I didn't feel comfortable, straight up targeting new all-time highs, and I said we need liquidity lower, and that got taken now. So I still believe we could trade higher towards the end of the year, maybe beginning of 2026, and move to all-time highs after all. But you know, we'll have to see. Do you not think it looks like distribution wick off? It could be, but then even still, you need a breakdown for confirmation, in my opinion. And yeah, all that is just sweeps of the highs and of the lows, to be honest, on the higher time frame. So if you look at it from the easiest standpoint there is on the monthly, right, you have higher highs, higher lows. You always get like consolidation. So consolidation, leg up, consolidation, leg up, consolidation, leg up, and now we're seeing a new consolidation. So as long as we don't break market structure here to the downside and get that close that I just talked about, I think it's safe to assume that the next big move is gonna be to the upside. If we follow gold, if gold starts chilling here and some of that liquidity moves into Bitcoin, could get fireworks in the later part of Q4. All right. Let's see some other charts then. ETH, same thing as Bitcoin, honestly. Let's remove some of these. And what I'm watching here, also the monthly, right? If you look at it from a basic perspective, what was the key resistance that we didn't manage to break for months? Well, right here. And if you consider this as a breakout, then you buy the retest and target new all-time highs. And that's simply what I'm doing until I'm wrong. So what did Ethereum do? Break above this, swept monthly lows there. And as you can see, I have 2 levels on the chart, and those are all I have to use to get my high time frame bias. As long as we're trading above these 2 levels, I think the next impulsive move is going to be to the upside. What invalidates this? A break below the levels, right? So high time frame moving to the lower time frames. We got the sweep, the aggressive sweep of the lows, took out the weekly flat bottom, reclaimed the level, now retesting the level, still left some weekly liquidity to the upside, which is even a better sign. But as long as we hold above here, I think we target new all-time highs next. What invalidates this, if we get a weekly close below this blue line, I will be out of longs, might look even for shorts on the retest and target a lot lower, probably the opposite side all the way down here. But until then, I cannot be bearish here into support. So yeah, honestly, nothing much more to talk about here. I am long on this as well, as I think the retest of this area offers great risk to reward if you target new all-time highs. And I could be wrong, right? If we do this and then retest, it's more likely that we see a lot of downside after. But until then, I think we trap a lot of shorts by moving higher first. Don't you think volatility in FOMC can hunt your stop loss? Of course it could, but I have really wide stops on all my longs, so at least for low time frame volatility, I think I should be safe. So let's see. Would you be able to look at Litecoin? Yeah, sure. And a third long that I entered yesterday was Hype. Hype, basically, yeah, a lot of talks about Hype, right? Being the coin of the cycle, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, the wick, of course, stopped everyone out. Big wipe, swept all of liquidity below there. Strong buyback and then consolidated. Boom, made a high, made a low, swept the highs, retest, then targeting these highs next. Broke above them, right? Consolidating, retest. Well, no, not retested the highs, but basically broke out of the range after that big sweep of the lows. So what I'm watching here is, as long as we hold above that level right here, I think the next logical move for Hype is to the upside. High time frame liquidity resting above here. Lower time frames, what do we have? Let's remove this. What do we have? This was the range from the low to the high. Low swept, retest, right? What was the next target? The opposite side, which is range high. What we didn't want to see there was a sweep and a rejection back inside the range. What we did want to see was a breakout, right? And then continuation to the upside or consolidation. What we're seeing is consolidation. Mark out the highs, mark out the lows, right? So as long as the sweep and the retest of this range high level holds, I think the next logical target short term is up here. All right, if we break above here with conviction and start ranging a bit here, I think new all-time highs are next. So that's why I kept my my stop loss also on this one. As you can see, this is the setup I'm in. Just hasn't done anything, honestly, since my entry. It's a swing long. Kept it very wide. Why? Well, I want to check prices. If we sweep this in here, boom, I want to be safe, and that would be fine. Still target a lot higher after. If we don't and we do something like this, close down here, then I'll be looking to get out on the retest, because at that point this would be the sweep above this high, and then I could see a move back towards the lows. after that. But as long as we hold above this level, I think we should be good for higher. Make sense? Litecoin saw some strength here, but honestly, yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing again. What's the level we want to see get broken? Well, this range high level here, the 114 to 120 dollar area, high time frame close above here, there, buy the retest and sell a lot higher. I'm just holding spot for this one. So yeah, honestly, it's just been in a range, right, for years. If we break out, I could see a lot of upsides, and that's why I'm holding spots in this range. I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but I do think that it is at some point going to happen, and that's the whole thesis behind holding Litecoin. Apart from that, right, short term, I don't think it looks ideal. Why not? Big squeeze to the downside, bounce. These were the highs. As you can see, they got swept aggressively and rejected hard. Now retest, clean lows below. Wouldn't be surprised if those are next. Then you want to see a sweep, reclaim, and then maybe we can target some highs again. So yeah, not really liking Litecoin here on the lower time frames. Is it okay to have a wider sell? Why not, man? Of course it is. As long as your risk reward is still decent, right? I would say using wider stop losses is the play, even for newer people. You'll feel more comfortable. It will lead less to over trading, as often when people use those tight stop losses, they get stopped, they feel bad, they want to re-enter again with a tight stop loss, get stopped out again, want to try again, and they keep on going, while using a wider stop loss, right, gives you more time for the trade ID to develop, right, and prove that the trade ID was wrong. And in my opinion, will lead less to taking basically the same trade ID multiple times, but getting stopped out every time. While like for example, right here, I could see some people longing because of the reasons that I just said, but they will use a stop loss right below there, and then maybe price does this, reclaims this, and sees higher from there. Then they got taken out on the low, right, and missed the trade, while the thesis is still correct and didn't get invalidated, right? So of course, why not trade with wider sell? Do you think FOMC has positive effects on the markets today with rate cuts? Possibly, we'll see. I don't have a clue, but you know my thoughts, right? Has the CME gap been filled? Should be, right? Yeah, I think so. Do you have any invalidations for the swing spot trade, like a time or price wise? You mean for Bitcoin and Ethereum? Personally, I have made myself the promise, I'll say. I'm just gonna be holding my spot even if we break below here, as for me it's simply not worth selling my spot here even if we break below here. So then I'll just hold. I don't need the money, you know. I can just hold for another cycle, and then still end up selling way higher in a few years. So either we're gonna see a bullish Q4 and maybe Q1 of 2026, and I'm gonna be selling way higher, or I'm just gonna be holding and sell new all-time highs in the next cycle, hopefully, if that happens. I'll probably try to add to longs if we sweep this. I like this area for longs, so something like this. That's the area where you get a big bounce, in my opinion. So if it is during FOMC, right? Ideally, I'd like to buy a wick to the downside if it's the first wick, right? If it already wicked to the upside and then is rejecting heavily, I won't. But if it wicks below here, well, by the looks of it right now, we might get that that sooner than expected, but we'll see. Zcash, yeah, saw massive upside. I feel like I played it bad. I tried longing it a few times. Overall, didn't lose on it, but could have made way more. Thoughts on it right now? I wouldn't FOMO in up here. Why not? Because technically, right on the 4 hours, swept this into supply. There. So either wait for, in my opinion, another sweep of the lows, something like this, and then look for a buy, targeting just the opposite side, just for a quick trade, or a break above here, and then you'll likely see all-time highs. But for now, yeah, like as you can see, swept the highs into supply and is rejecting, so better to stay patient here. Solana, still same thoughts, right? I didn't like Solana. Why? Because weekly got rejected at key supply, still did. That's been a little bit stronger the last couple of days to weeks, but still, what do you want to see in order for us to target new all-time highs? Well, a break below, break above this area, which would be a break above high time frame OTE and the area where we previously got rejected. So OTE from this leg, this high to this low, you can see right there, we ran all the way up, rejected, sideways price action that led to this move, sideways price action that led to that move, right? The level in between is right there. Let's give it a bit, as you can see. So just straightforward, what you want to see here to get high time frame bullish on Sol, a break, a high time frame close above here, then you buy the retest and sell all-time highs. But until then, right, even if we pump from here and sweep the highs in there, will likely be a good fade again and target some lows after. Pump was bullish as well today, right? Yeah, up 5% still. Pretty much similar to Hype, right? With this local range here, swept the lows, retest, broke above range highs, didn't sweep and reject. But what you want to see here, so as you can see, the scenario that I explained on Hype, with sweeping the lows and reclaiming, basically already played out on Pump. As you can see, these were the lows and they got swept there, and then you move to new local highs. So as long as this holds above this high, right, and you don't do this, I think it looks good for higher. If you break back below here, on the other hand, yeah, then you're back inside this range, and at that point can start targeting the opposite side, so then I would get out. But for now, if you're in longs, I'd say it looks good still. All right, BNB, yeah, acting pretty weak last couple of days, ever since it saw the huge rally, then the dip that everything saw, and then the huge buyback straight to new all-time highs, but then swept it and rejected very heavily. I tried a long here to target back towards some supply, but was acting this weak that I closed it at break even already. So right now, ideally you don't want to see break below here, because then could start getting ugly. But until then, right, this is definitely gonna be support, and the area to the upside that I would be watching would be up here. All right. I have no limits in no. I just like to trade what I see. Any more questions, guys? Otherwise, I'm gonna hop off. Wanna watch Bitcoin here, actually. So ideally, for times like this, if it's if you get this volatility breakout, guys, get a funded account, buy an evaluation, and the big advantage with that is all you can lose is your evaluation fee. You have people blowing up their account on one move, which is sad to see. On a breakout account, all you can lose is basically your evaluation fee. So if you want to try it out, I have a discount code which is in the description. If you do want to trade with your own money, try Blowfin. The link is in the description as well. So yeah, go check it out. If possible, how do you decide your exits? Do you sell in one go or sell in portions in your swing long? No, I barely take profit all at once. I just like to take some off at key areas. For example, if we were to reclaim this, right, start moving higher, I will definitely be taking some off around 120k. Why? Because that's the last resistance before new all-time highs. So if you reject heavily, you at least took some off. But if it does break above here, then happy days, you still have some left for a lot higher. But that's everyone his own thing, right? But that's how I like to play it. All right. So let's see. Maybe tonight things get cleaner after FOMC. Let's see what it does here. In my opinion, what the most likely thing to happen is right here is that we're gonna see more downsides on the lower time frames, but that it's gonna be bought up. So something like this. I'm not sure how low, at least these lows, maybe these lows as well. But I do think we hold above last week's Monday low, and bounce hard from there. All right, so let's see. I will keep you guys updated in the Discord and on X. Thanks for joining, everyone. Was a good one. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe. We will do these more often. I will let you know. And I'll see you around. Bye.